From Oxygen Financial, there is the number one Wall Street article writer guy, Ted Janken. Is that your title now?
It should be. I had the number one article online yesterday on the Wall Street Journal that I wrote for them. Very interesting debate.
Because I liked it on your Facebook page. That was the conversation that we had last week when you were in, right?
Yeah. This discussion yesterday actually was about millennials and whether they should buy a home now or they should wait. And I took the stance on them delaying buying a home. And so you had some people that liked it and some people that didn't, but it got a lot of controversy on the Journal, and a lot of people read it. Millennials
would be from what? Born from when to when?
Classically, they say it's people from 1981 to roughly 2000. So that's, people in that age range.
So they'd be in their
20s.
20s and 30s.
Yeah.
And what was your reason that they should not buy a property?
A lot of millennials now are moving jobs. They're going to different cities.
Sure.
So, if you're here and you buy a house and you don't know what your job status is. For example, there was somebody here I know who was just working in Atlanta, and then they got a job in San Francisco. So now you dump money into a $300,000 property. By the time you put home improvements into it, your rationale is you're going to be able to rent this thing out no problem.
Right.
Well, it isn't just as easy as that. And so, a lot of people, homes will saddle them down. I mean, I think it's a good idea to own real estate over the long term. Don't get me wrong. And interest rates are low right now, and all those things are fueling getting real estate. I'm just saying you need to weigh the pros and cons of your circumstances and make sure it's right for you, especially as a young person, before you dump all your cash out of the bank and get yourself into a property.
Well, a girl for sure. I look at women, and, like my wife's girlfriends. Why would you buy a house? They're 26, 27, 28. They're a couple years out of college. They're still finding their career. They're maybe dating a guy, but there's no reason. You just stay in the high rises with nice security until a dude takes you to a house. And if I'm a guy that's 28, I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm going to stay here or not.
Well, the days of them being great investments haven't returned back after the bust. Tell me if I'm off here. But it's still a property with housing prices the way they are now. Pretty good. With rates being in real estate, you see a lot of.
It's better.
There's not as much inventory as there used to be.
So nobody was building.
Well, now they're starting to build again, which is great. And the interest rate's down. So if you do have a family and you are going to settle in, at least for a year or two, like I'm waiting to see how this whole damn thing pans out before we buy a property. But as soon as I know that I'm going to be here for a while, we're buying a house.
Well, they asked me how I felt about you, and I signed off.
Oh, then I'm going to go out today and buy the damn thing.
I said, no, Bailey and I, Bailey for life.
I'll wait till a few other people check off on that box.
I had to actually say it. They said, say it. And I went, Bailey for life.
Bailey for life.
I had to say it.
I mean, certainly it's great because interest rates are low, right? And you don't know how long they're going to stay low. So that's part of fueling people wanting to get into a property. But here's where people make the mistake, right? If you buy a $300,000 house, it's not like buying a $30,000 car. You've got to consider what kind of home improvements, and you're not going to just stare at a bunch of blank walls. You're going to want to buy furniture. You need to consider the upkeep, right? There's going to be maintenance and upkeep and things that happen on a regular basis. And so sometimes people drain all of their cash and they don't consider their cash flow before they make that investment.
But did you take into consideration when you're a renter? And I hate being a renter. I absolutely despise it because you always, it's not yours. It's not your thing. You can't do things to it that you want to do. So when you move different places, there's costs in moving, at least, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, depending on how far you're going to move. All right. The things that you buy to make the house better, you're probably going to be thrown away eventually when you move into a new house or even your own house because it's not going to match the decor. So you're wasting a lot of money when you're renting as well. And you just throw money away if you're going to paint or something like that because it's not your property.
Well, it can be. I mean, again, you have to weigh the cost and the pros and cons. I just know that once you get into a home, the home is going to always have a set of ongoing costs, and you shouldn't look at that primary house as an investment, right? That's a place that you're going to live. You may raise your family. Eventually, if you're smart, you pay off the mortgage and you have an equity asset when you retire. But a lot of people get into a home, they say, I'm going to buy this house for $300,000, and boy, in a few years, it's going to be worth $500,000, and I'm just going to flip it and do something else. Well, that just isn't that easy. People got burned in 2008. And they have a short memory right now. And same with the stock market. People have a short memory about what happened in yesteryear.
Yeah, well, 2006, it was good. You could buy a house in 2006, not even see it. It's not even built yet. And you could flip it for $80,000 profit. Been there, did that. Never saw the house. Just saw the sketch of the house. Bought it from a friend. Flipped it before it was even built.
That's
and I was
crazy.
out. It was great, 80 grand.
That is crazy.
Well, it's funny because you were talking about this whole Facebook envy, and I get to see it every day in my office. And the issue with this generation now, especially Generation X and the millennials, is that they're growing up seeing what's happening with all of their friends right in front of them visually with all these pictures. So if I see my friend buy an Audi on Facebook, and then I see my next friend who's taking a trip to the Grand Caymans, I start to think to myself, hey, wait a minute, this is my buddy from college or high school.
Yeah.
How could they be doing better than me? I deserve that. I should be able to get those things as well. And it makes you fuel to want to buy more things. It actually, in some sense, social media makes you spend more money.
That's
right?
interesting. Yeah.
You're always looking at pictures. Take women that look at Pinterest and they're looking at pictures of beautiful bathrooms and kitchens and all these things. Do you think not after a while you're going to say, well, wait a minute. If my friend just got a renovation on their kitchen, my neighbor's just got a pool in their backyard, why can't I have one of those too?
My father-in-law just did his bathroom. I see those pictures.
I know. My father-in-law's doing his right now, but you know what
I'm
he
like,
did?
God, that looks nice.
Yeah, I know. But what he did is he actually destroyed it himself. I think he worked through a little something, but he destroyed it himself.
Here's what people don't post up on Facebook: their net worth.
That's
right?
that's not offered for relationship status.
It's not off. No, they don't post their cash flow, so it may appear they're doing well. And so the reason people get sad is this is about happiness, is about expectations met or unmet. And so if I'm thinking to myself, everyone's doing better than I am, that's going to force me to want to go out and spend more money so I can, quote unquote, sort of keep up with the Joneses. And that is very common.
But the Facebook thing that we were talking about earlier, the survey was that there's Facebook envy that makes you depressed. You're saying that people go on Facebook, they look at pictures and whatnot, and they go out and they spend maybe outside their means, which what I've come to learn over the past couple of years living here in Atlanta is there are a lot of people in this town that live way outside their means.
Oh, a ton of credit card debt.
My God.
Yeah, I know dudes that are just underwater, man. God bless.
How do you get depressed out of all
Jason, this is natural. You know, people always want what they can't have. So if you see your friends vacationing with their family in San Francisco and you've never been to San Francisco, you start thinking, man, I'm 40 years old. How come I've never been to San Francisco? How come I've never been to the Virgin Islands? How come I've never taken a trip to Europe? My family should be able to have that too. And the more that you look at those pictures, remember, pictures on the internet are not worth 1,000 words. They're worth 1,000,000 words because they get you that psychology going that, why should I have that too?
I don't know if I have that.
You know what? It's weird because I know that Ted's right about this, but I don't have it either. I think it's just a small percentage of us don't have it. I know my wife doesn't. She'd be the first to go, we're not doing that because she's sensible.
I guess in the last week I've seen
I'm lucky there.
1,000,000 pictures, including Amanda, your wife.
Yeah.
And some other friends of mine that just ran a 5K, and I don't look at that and go, God, I feel like going out and running a marathon today.
Oh, yeah.
Like, God.
But, like the Seaside Marathon, Amanda, they just all went and did. Man, that's nothing but a bunch of white women in Lululemon. I mean, that's what that is, older white women.
Yeah, but
I'm just like, good Lord, did Johns Creek just threw up down in Seaside, But that's what you see with a lot of these people that are into that.
This is natural psychology. The more that other people accomplish, it makes you feel almost to yourself like, why am I not accomplishing as much as the other people that I see? And I was better than that kid in high school. I was better than that kid in college. How come I'm not doing better than them now? But you don't know that you're not. It just appears that way on Facebook. And
I did see a kid the other day.
Pinterest and Instagram and all those things.
I did say that about some guy I saw the other day. I was like, God, I hated that kid. I used to beat him up, and God, that's a sweet car he just bought.
Really? And I'm just happy when I see people doing well, anybody I went to high school with or anybody I've ever worked with, I'm just like, way to go. Way to go. Get yours.
So social media fuels spending.
No question about it.
That's crazy.
100%.
And it's all because you're jealous. I mean, I always say jealousy and greed are part of the axis of evil. That's what kills relationships, jobs, friendships, whatever. It's jealousy and greed. It's usually at the end of the day when you look at when things go bad, it's one or both of those things. So you go onto social media, let's say Facebook, and you're trolling somebody. And you see pictures and whatnot. You get jealous, you get envious, you get greedy, and then that in turn you go out and spend money.
There's absolutely no question about it. 100%. I look at family finances every day, and budgeting and managing cash flow for your family is one of the hardest things to do. It's even harder. Again, spring break is coming up here. You watch when pictures come out, and your neighbors took a spring break trip to Atlantis in the Bahamas, and they're at these vacations. You're saying, how did they spend $10,000? I live next to them. I don't drive as nice a car as them. How are they doing better than me? Now, the real answer is they're not. It appears that way, but you can't see their cash flow. You can't see their net worth. You can't see their credit cards.
Well, I can tell you
it appears that way.
If you've got a gambler's card like I do, you get 3 free nights, and sometimes they'll upgrade you, and the plane ticket's not that expensive, so it's not that expensive to go down there.
The Hard Rock in the Dominican is looking good.
No, Atlantis. You get free. I mean, it's a whole nother story, but
wow, look at you.
Yeah.
My little gambling pays off.
Gambling does pay off, doesn't it?
All right, Ted. I know you didn't get to talk about what you came in to talk about. That was very interesting, actually. I actually like that better than what you came in to talk about.
You want to talk about what you were going to talk about next week?
We'll do it next week.
We can. We'll just do that.
How can people find you, Ted?
Hey, look, if you're struggling cash flow wise, you want to figure out your net worth, your income, your family balance sheet, go to oxygenfinancial.net. We can help you out. Go to oxygenfinancial.net.